Hello everyone, especially you Motherland Fort Salem fans and superfans out there. Today is Motherland Fort Salem's 5th anniversary of airing on the Freeform channel. I'm celebrating it by talking about the episodes from the show's Wikipedia site. First, I have, of course, the show's first season. And the synopsis for this season was, set in America where witches ended their persecution nearly 300 years ago by cutting a deal with the U.S. government to fight for their country, Motherland Fort Salem follows 3 young women from basic training in combat magic into early deployment. In this world, the traditional roles of gender and power are flipped, with the more dominant women on the front lines, fighting looming terrorist threats that are familiar to our world, but with supernatural tactics and weapons. Regarding my story of watching the first season, as far as you know, I haven't watched the show until the 5th episode. Okay, that was when I figured out that the two women on the show, Rael and Scylla, are more than friends, and as you can see here from the first episode on top, say the words. I didn't watch it until like watching it on demand after when the episodes came out as new ones, probably toward the end of the summer of 2020. But of course, to put them in establish my story in chronological order. The first episode, say the words. Right, as y'all know from this photo, the three witches, Rael, Abigail, and Tally, joined basic training. And for the second episode, My Witches, they involve going to Salem Town for a little witch celebration. I mean, of course, as we all know, Rael and Scylla start their relationship in the very first episode, and with that surprise aside, considering the fact it's not reliant on the age-old will they won't they TV trope, what also surprised me from these 2 episodes that Rael and Abigail didn't get along. I mean, originally, when I was reading synopsises on my TV provider, or my parents' TV provider, I read something that Abigail tries to bury the hatchet with Rael. Originally, I thought they got along in the first episode at first, but then, Abigail must have done something to offend Rael and was trying to bury the hatchet. But of course, it was. Their initial rivalry wasn't one-sided, as established before. Alright, the third episode here, A Biddy's Life, the female witches welcome the male witches, and they celebrate a looming celebration of Beltane. Of course, within this episode, a former boyfriend from Scylla's past named Porter, ends up getting in the way of her relationship with Rael. Interestingly enough, he knows something was up with Scylla, but he ends up dying by Scylla, of course. Probably not to blow the whistle or anything. Especially when he tells Rael don't get attached. In the 4th episode, Hail Beltane, the beginning of the episode wakes up from Rael trying to revive Porter from death, but with no success, of course. Originally, when I first saw this episode, Hail Beltane, originally, I thought, I don't know, Rael may have some bisexual tendencies we're not aware of, but it turns out she's not even interested in guys. Likewise, the male witch who she tried to communicate with isn't interested in girls. And originally enough, they go through I don't know, mating rituals within that episode, to put in a mild sense. I mean, when I first saw this, like I said, when I first saw this episode, I didn't realize there would be such, I don't know, people not being attracted to the opposite gender, so to speak, or having sexual relations or anything. I never even realized that. I mean, I of course should pay better attention when I come across these episodes, but that was something I got surprised with. A male witch that ends up meeting Rael was a guy named Byron. he ends up being a close friend of Porter's, and he even tried thanking Rael for saving him. But when I was observing the two, if they were relatively straight, they'd be 2 of a kind. In this episode, Bellwether season, like this is like where I gave the show a chance before like watching the other episodes. Like when I a line that practically confirmed it for the most part was like when Scylla tells Rael, "No matter what happens, I love you." It wasn't until I saw the episode all the way through that there was like Scylla faced a possible choice. Of course, I didn't realize it until the ninth episode of this season, but my point still stands. And during the fall of 2020, when I got curious with the commenter, like if Scylla actually was genuine with her feelings with Rael, and they confirmed to me that Scylla did choose Rael, which I was very pleased about. Of course, the this episode, Bellwether season, had them losing different things, like Abigail with her cousin and her pride, a Tally with her love interest, and Rael with Scylla. In the episode Up is Down, Abigail struggles with the setbacks of her cousin's wedding. She even has a bodyguard to help keep her safe. Elsewhere, Rael tries to find Scylla's whereabouts. She even goes as far as stealing Salva from her own unit in order to find her. And of course, they do manage to find her on the edge of the beach where Rael thought that Scylla had disappeared to, but it turned out at the end of the episode, she was trapped at Fort Salem, being tortured by Sarah Alder and the others. Oh, and for this episode, Up is Down, we see the very first appearance of Adele, Abigail's later love interest. In the episode Mother Mycelium, Scylla is still being tortured by General Alder and the others, even Anacostia, but in this episode, Abigail gets to know Adele a little bit more, and she enlists Rael to help his sister, who ends up contracting an illness. Of course, in this episode, I did see a reunion between Rael and Scylla, and they kiss, of course, which I also had the understanding that their relationship was genuine. However, in City Drop, it was later revealed when Rael links with Tally that the latter was responsible for Scylla being imprisoned. This causes a rift between her, but I remember seeing this one part of the episode where my dad tries to tell Rael about Scylla's not who she appears to be, especially when Tally tries to tell Rael what if there was another reason for Scylla showing up at the wedding. Yeah, of course, Rael does find out about Scylla's Spree alliance, which sends in betrayal, of course. All right. In the episode Coup, the unit goes through graduation, but in the previous episode, a fellow cadet gets killed in the line of duty, and Abigail is given a eulogy. What I remember best about the eulogy is how Abigail worded it. When I first saw the episode, I almost I was quite taken of what I was hearing. Of course, also in this episode, it turns out Scylla wanted to see Rael one last time, but as it happens, it wasn't when Rael does come, it wasn't very friendly. She even questions Scylla's motives, but no matter how many times Scylla tries to explain everything, Rael doesn't believe her, and consequently ends their relationship. Also, what I remember best was how General Alder puppeted the president, and of course Rael becomes heartbroken and admits to Anacostia that she still loves Scylla. I mean, after all, feelings of love don't go away just because the relationship ended, right? In the first season finale, Witch Bomb, the unit gets put in deployment to save some Turin witches. As it happens, based on the previous episode Coup, there's an ancient enemy that has resurfaced, known as the Camarilla. Toward the end of the episode, Rael gets stabbed in the heart by a Camarilla soldier, and Abigail tries her best to save her. But when they both die, they end up getting abandoned by Alder and the others. But turns out they managed to create a witch bomb. They both end up surviving, and they walk hand in hand back to Fort Salem. And at the very end of the episode, throughout the season, Rael ends up thinking that her mom passed away, but when Scylla manages to get free with help from Anacostia, who gains some understanding toward her, the woman turns around and reveals to Scylla that she was supposed to bring her daughter. And, well, of course, it ended up figuring out that that Will Colley herself ended up faking her death. Next is the show's second season. And the synopsis for this season says, Rael, Tally, and Abigail confront higher stakes, dangerous magic, and a new threat from an ancient group of witch hunters, the Camarilla. The first season, we saw our trio of young witches follow the footsteps of their foremothers, defending the nation from the spree as part of the United States Army. Their training is intensified when they are promoted to attend War College, where their magic, relationships, and beliefs will be pushed to the limits. While General Alder seeks out new witches to join the wars to come, the spree and the army learn their fight may no longer be with one another. But how can two enemies work together to thwart the hatred that won't stop until all the witches are exterminated? For the second season, I remember waiting patiently for the air date of the new season to come. And of course, I once read an article on that how they added 5 new cast members for the guest appearing spots. Of course, the casting section goes as shows they have the celebs Victor Webster, Melanie Barrows, Prankita Keela, and S. Hodmoser, and Arlene Aguaya for the recurring roles. As for the episodes of the show, I didn't watch I didn't watch them as new episodes right away, because I didn't want to watch them without my dad until halfway into the season. But I did see them on my TV provider with him, and for this episode of The Blood, after the events of Witch Bomb, they go back to Fort Salem, but here's the kicker. In the first season finale, Tally had become biddified, as one of Alder's biddies. Of course, Rael and Abigail managed to make it back to Fort Salem, and they reunite with Tally, and who gets unbiddified thanks to some work. Elsewhere, Scylla helps Willow take down the spree, and of course, as it's revealed, Anacostia managed to tracks Scylla, in during the events of the episode Abomination. She and Scylla work together to help discover the Camarilla once Willow spills the beans on it. Also, for the first episode of the second season, the unit manages to go into War College for the first time. Also, in the second episode, Abigail and Adil talk about the future. Adil mentions to Abigail that he was talking with his sister Khalida about going to a different home. In the episode of Tiffany, Rael gets assigned to show a vice president on how work is done. Of course, I also remember watching some promo videos about the second season, and I remember one revolved around Scylla, but this whole time I was thinking if she still had feelings for Rael. Well, it turns out in this episode, Not Our Daughters, it turns out she still has feelings for Rael, as evident when she takes a photo from Willow's refrigerator of Rael, and during her stakeout with Anacostia. Anacostia becomes annoyed with the fact that Scylla's doing nothing but staring at a photo of Rael. But Scylla asks Anacostia, "You've been on base. How is she?" Of course, needless to say, Anacostia doesn't bother answering that question. In the episode Brianna's Favorite Pencil, it's figured out that that the Camarilla are hosting some sort of a witch hunting party on Halloween. It turns out the little girl that they're planning to sacrifice is someone named Tiffany. And toward the end of the episode, Scylla kills a guy with someone's favorite, with Brown's favorite pencil, hence the title name. But here's the little kicker: during the episodes "Not Our Daughters" and Brown's favorite pencil, I remember watching both episodes at the same time with my family, around that time, and we were prepping for a funeral for my maternal grandfather. During the events of Not Our Daughters and Brianna's favorite pencil, Adele and her sister take a train to India for their new home. Originally, Adele ended his relationship with Abigail around that time because Abigail must have said something to offend Adele. But in the episode Brianna's favorite pencil, the two end up reconciling and they agree to take down the Camarilla. And also, interestingly, Charvel, who happened to be Abigail's cousin, was killed by the Camarilla, and Abigail and Adele joined together to take back what was rightfully Charvel's. In this episode, My Three Dads, the unit goes on a semester break, and Abigail and Adele go to Abigail's home in Maryland, and and toward the end of the episode, they collect some blood from Charvel in order to track down Charvel's vocal cords. Her vocal cords are used in the episode Not Our Daughters by the Camarilla leader Alban Hurst. Of course, elsewhere in this episode, Tally accompanies Rael to the session, and they also discuss about Rael's mom there. They also meet Rael's dad there, and an old friend of her mother's named Quinn. Of course, also at the end of the episode, Rael ends up getting abducted by the Camarilla, and only after Scylla finds a facility of the Camarilla where they find photos of Rael. Of course, needless to say, it was horrifying. Also, in the episode of My Three Dads, Tally asks Quinn about the Esprit events. It turns out during most of the episodes in the second season, she comes across a person named Nicta Patan. It was highly speculative that she was the head of the spree, and unsurprisingly, based on everything that's happened, the person responsible for Nicta creating the spree was Sarah Alder. Why I say it's unsurprising is I remember hearing my dad talk about how selfish Alder was in the first two seasons of Motherland Fort Salem. In the episode Irrevocable, of course, this is one of the greatest episodes I've seen in the second season, and I also remember hearing it was one of the highest grossing episodes in the season because of the Rayla reunion, for the most part. Scylla telling Willa, Rael's mother, that she loves her, and Abigail and Adele taking on the Camarilla. With of course, in this episode, Adele reveals a combative side that we haven't seen. Of course, what I also like best of the episode is when they carry a semi-conscious Rael out of the Camarilla base, and Scylla stays right by Rael's side. At the very end of the episode Irrevocable, what I really liked was when Rael woke up from unconsciousness, and Scylla assures her, "It's okay, you're safe now." In the episode Delusional, Rael and Scylla talk about Will Caller, the former's mother. She reveals to Scylla that she and her mom had a ritual, which they'd be thinking about each other at a certain time. Well, when she found out that she was dead, she ended up believing it until she found out that she faked her death. Oh, also in the episode Irrevocable, Rael was managed to be saved by her mom, but Will died trying to do so. Right. Elsewhere, Tally also implores the unit to search Nicta and bring her back to Fort Salem. Of course, they also bring Scylla along, considering they want she wants to get back on Rael's good side, especially since she has nothing left to gain. But during the majority of the episode, they go through a lot of hallucinatory processes. When they eventually encounter Nicta Batan, it would appear to be captured, her being captured. It turned out she was totally disguised as Nicta, who ended up being captured instead. But of course, Nicta ended up taking the disguise of Tally, and wanted to attack Alder for good measure. Also, during to the end of the episode, during the end of the episode, Rail invites Scylla to take a girl named Tiffany to the spree once they've set her free. Of course, they shared a tender kiss before Scylla left. Right, in this episode, Mother of All, Mother of None, the unit goes through a death penalty sentence for Nicta Batan, but only when Tally declares right of proxy, Nicta was spared. And what ends up happening is she spills the beans on why Nicta became the leader of the spree in the first place. This causes General Alder to be disgraced from her position and passing it on to Petra Bellwether. Also in this episode, Abigail manages to recover Charvel's lost vocal cords and gives them to her mom. And for this episode, Revolution Part 1, when there's a breach at Fort Salem, through the use of witch plague, the unit finds out that that Penelope, a vice president's daughter, is the source of all the witch plague. But through the use of Abigail's weather abilities and Rael's mycelium abilities, they managed to get rid of the witch plague. But I didn't realize that they killed Penelope in the process until I found out later. This, of course, ends up stirring some controversy with the vice president himself, and he ends up having the Bellwether unit arrested for it. But when they find out there's a little more to it than that, Petra and Anacostia work together to have their unit's loved ones free them from being persecuted. All right. And with the help of said allies, they manage to break themselves free, and now they become fugitives. Also in this episode, Rael and Scylla manage to become a couple again, and they share a passionate kiss. Of course, toward the end of the episode, it's revealed that Blanton Silver, who happens to be the vice president, was also in cahoots with the Camarilla. Also in this episode, Sarah Alder loses her biddies and ends up being taken to the mycelium, but is later revived. And last but not least, the show's third season. And the synopsis for the season was: the end of season 2 left Abigail, Tally, and Rael and Scylla fugitives on the run. Now without a military nor a home, they seek protection alongside the Dodger community in the session. But laying low and staying out of trouble has never been their strong suit. With witch hunters working against them from inside the White House, our heroes must call upon ancient forces in the final battle for the right to exist. As you can see from the trivia section, it says campaigns to save the show for renewal for further seasons are ongoing online. Yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping for, because when I found out the third season was going to be the final season, I got so really nervous. I mean, I made desperate attempts to try and save it, but with signing the petition, only for it to increase when the petition lost signatures. Anyway, for these episodes, in this episode, Homocantus, the unit of course goes into the Dodger community, distributing paper right and left. Of course, during this time, Rael and Scylla talk about their dreams to go to the lighthouse they talked about back in the first season. Also in the episode Homocantus, Adil even talks with Abigail about starting a family. Of course, at the end of the episode, they end up getting caught by the police, forcing them to go on the run again. Right? In this episode, The Price of Work, the unit takes on a chemical facility when they overhear a chemistry operation taking on the mycelium, wanting it to poison it. Right, this causes a rail to suffer some illness, and is even taken down to the mycelium in order to heal. Right. In fact, during most of the episodes of the third season, Scylla single-mindedly tries to contact Rael in hopes to get her back. And in the third episode, O.A. Lane, the remaining parts of the unit try to locate some pieces for her first song when they encounter Alder. As it happens, Alder's demeanor has changed and is now more nobler. She even tries to locate the pieces of the first song by rescuing the singers behind it. Elsewhere in this episode, Scylla tries to contact Rael again, but tries to be stopped by Nick, but is often stopped by Nicta. In fact, in this episode, O. Elaine, and in the episode Happy Yule, Nicta is shown to be politically incorrect with Scylla's feelings. It wasn't until in this episode that Happy Yule that Scylla tries to knock some sense into her. Of course, Nicta herself even reveals a softer side herself. Of course, we were also in for a surprise when the attempted assassination takes place with President Wade, but thanks to some outside help from Fort Salem, she manages to survive. All right. In this episode, Session in Session, the unit encounters the High Council of the Session, and they also eventually confronted by the head of the Camarilla, Alban Hurst. He even implores the unit to surrender, but is later stopped by Alder. Also, after realizing that the Camarilla had infiltrated the Session, they get some help by the High Council of the Session themselves. In the episode Book Club, Rael manages to make a minor appearance in this, and of course, Scylla manages to gain contact with her, and she comes clean with Rael's father and the mother's friend Quinn about Willa's spree alliance. Of course, what I was a really poignant part of this episode was when Scylla begs to Willa to set Rael free and promises to protect her. She even tells Willa that if she can't bring Rael back up to Earth, she wanted Willa to take her with her because she can't live without Rael. I mean, obviously, who could blame Scylla, really? She and Rael are practically so close they can't even stand to be apart. Right. In this episode, she returns. We get to see Rael's return. Of course, toward the beginning of the episode, Anacostia and Abigail see Scylla, who's gotten a whole lot of dead animals to begin with, obviously depressed, and still trying to make contact with Rael. It wasn't until Abigail manages to sympathize with Scylla by knocking some sense into her, but by asking her for some help. Of course, when Rael does return, she's reunited with Tally, but is disappointed when Scylla was nowhere in sight. Of course, it just so happens Scylla managed to get herself captured at the end of the episode. In the episode Petra's Favorite Pen, we once again see the use of people killing others with stationery. But earlier in the season, Petra is given a civilian oversight, and also in this episode, Tally accompanies Alder to retrieve another piece of the song through the use of a singer. But in the process, Tally exchanges her sight for the song, and Alder is now forced to protect her. Interestingly enough, toward the beginning of the season, Tally was also given training by Nicta to use some sort of a unique part with sight, probably foresight as they call it. Eventually, she sees something that horrifies her, and And in order to stop herself from getting consumed by it, she exchanges the site for the first song. In this episode, but I don't even have a dress. The unit goes through a wedding ceremony, but at the end of the episode, Petra's favorite pen, the unit considers surrendering, and toward it we see a Rael proposing to Scylla. They've even implored Abigail and Adil to take part of the wedding as a double wedding. I mean, Glee vibes, anyone? And eventually, the unit gets exonerated with help with President Wade getting Vice President Blanton Silver behind bars. And when they have the wedding, they manage to have a wedding between Rael and Scylla and Abigail and Adil. And of course, toward the end of the episode, the Camarilla infiltrates the base once again. All right. In this episode, Revolution Part 2, the unit manages to confront the Camarilla, and they eventually gather the pieces of the first song, which they all sing with help from Rael's mycelium abilities. They manage to spread the song throughout the world, making everybody witches. Here, before I continue, something else I should point out with Season 3. The reason why Rael Collar was absent during most of the third season was because her portraying celeb Taylor Hickson got into a car accident, and he needed some time to recover. In the Happy Yule episode, Anna Kostya and her love interest Sterling ended up being put up as entertainment forces, to see what the camera liked best, but only it turned out to be torturous. Also, in the third season finale, Anna Kostya ends up getting killed by a truck. I mean, it was her death that I was most cheated about, because I know for a fact she didn't survive Alban Hurst's entertainment chambers of torture just to be killed by an oncoming truck. Of course, I still believe that the show could have been explored a little bit more, as I still refuse to believe that the show ended after 3 seasons. Once again, I'm bringing out a photo of Rael and Scylla, and what I want to tell you is, a lot of you may have heard my story of how I from other videos about how I came across Motherland Fort Salem on my YouTube channel, especially with the relationship between Rael and Scylla. However, when I was telling about the character named Byron, I was looking up Bennet Taylor, and in his bio section, it says, currently in pre-production, Bennet is rumored to star in a Motherland spinoff known as Byron and the Boys. That sounds interesting enough, and of course it's the closest we could ever get for any more seasons of Motherland Fort Salem. But the trying question is, when would it come out? All right. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. If you like the video, press the thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave in the comment section, and I'll catch you all in my next video.